So hi, I'm Monique Fordham, and I'm here with my colleague, Donna Walters, and we're just two of the many concerned people who make up the all-volunteer civic organization Keep the Park Green. We want to thank you so much for coming to our press conference today. Without accurate press information that provides equal time to both sides of an issue, the message of community groups like Keep the Park Green is easily drowned out by the well-connected and well-financed city government. In fact, Mayor Weinberger is so concerned about Keep the Park Green and how our message of fiscal accountability and transparency is resonating with voters, he's just reactivated his political action committee to try and crush us. But that's okay, because we're not afraid to be the David to his Goliath. Once voters get the facts, not just the PR of the mayor and his employees, we're confident we can get a better plan, one that doesn't reward suspicious practices or turn City Hall Park into a hot paved plaza that thousands don't want. That is, if the mayor and his friends on the city council don't deny the people of Burlington their right to vote on a project that they will be stuck paying for.
Thank you, Monique. I'm Donna Walters. So on December 20th, the mayor put out a public statement on Front Porch Forum and his website dismissing our citizen ballot initiative. He said we didn't have enough signatures to get to the City Hall Park question on the ballot. So Mr. Mayor, today we are here to turn in to the city clerk's office this fat stack of signatures. This brings the total we've collected so far to 3,300. The city clerk says that we need 2,000 ballot signatures to get it on the ballot, and we've already turned in 3/4 of them. We've turned in 1,527 that are valid. All we need is 473 more signatures. So this stack of 1,314 signatures is going to get us over the mark with a very healthy margin. People don't want this current plan, and that's why so many have signed these signature petitions. There are many disturbing aspects of the $4 million plan. The one that will cut down over 40% of the remaining trees and pave over an area to cover a full 1/3 of the park. In the mayor's community update on City Hall Park, he omitted the full facts about some issues, and some of his statements were misleading. The mayor says half the trees are in poor health, and we hear from others saying the reason they have to cut down so many trees is because all the trees are sick. We felt we needed an independent opinion from someone outside of the local area in order to get objective facts. We hired an independent arborist with gold-plated credentials. He is a master consulting arborist, and only 2% of arborists nationwide have this certification of a master arborist. He's also a certified consulting arborist. There is no higher authority, nor a more objective voice on the health, legal, environmental, and aesthetic conditions of trees than a registered master consulting arborist. And guess what he said? Only 7 trees are in poor health. They are not cutting down trees because of their health. They are cutting down trees because they are in the way of the design. The relocated paths that they are moving just a few feet, and the increased pavement to make more room for vendor and performance space. We have some interesting articles and letters on our website and our Facebook page at keeptheparkgreen.org, and I hope you'll go there and read them. They are written by well-respected community members and professionals who have taken a deep dive into the design documents. Make sure you click on the hyperlinks in these articles, because there are details there that I'm sure you'll find very insightful. There's a comparative tree assessment that compares the one from the city with the one from the independent arborist. There's a shade study that illustrates how much shade there is now with how little there will be after the construction. On our website, Keep the Park Green, you can view the ballot question language, sign up for updates, connect to our Facebook page, and make a tax-deductible donation. The mayor claims his plan will provide greatly improved ADA access. The only thing about this claim is that it's greatly inflated. To investigate, we went straight to our regional experts in Boston, the New England ADA Center. They told us that only one path is necessary to meet the legal requirement. But City Hall Park already has not one, but 3 ADA accessible paths. The $4 million plan adds only one additional ADA entry point. And we question the common sense of moving 2 paths and cutting down 7 trees to make one more path compliant, especially since just some 50 yards away, there is already an ADA accessible entry point. Do the walkways need resurfacing? Yes, they do. Do they need to be wider? No. All the paths already exceed ADA width requirements. ADA accessibility was just one more dog whistle that the city put out there that we had to refute.
So another one of the points that the mayor and his pals keep repeating over and over again is that we need to cut down 21 trees and pave over a third of the park because it will improve stormwater management. Well, rain gardens, which is what they want to put in while they cut down 21 trees, can manage stormwater directed into them from roads and non-permeable surfaces. It makes no sense to cut down trees to install them. Mature trees are considered something called green infrastructure, and for free, they reduce stormwater runoff by capturing and storing rainwater in their canopy and releasing water into the atmosphere in a process called evapotranspiration. Trees provide stream quality and watershed health by decreasing the amount of stormwater runoff and pollutants that reach our local waters. Their roots and their leaf litter create soil conditions that promote infiltration into the soil, which helps replenish our groundwater supply and maintain stream flow during dry periods. The most effective way to reduce stormwater runoff is to limit the amount of paved impermeable surfaces. The current plan only includes 10% permeable pavers, and yet it increases the total paved surface to a full third of the park. And these permeable pavers can be installed to replace impermeable surfaces in the park today if they wanted to. They don't have to rip up the entire park to do it. In fact, retaining mature trees is a recognized strategy for reducing cumulative stormwater runoff in the city. But our city officials want people to believe that cutting down mature trees and installing rain guards is the only solution. This is ridiculous and should not go unchallenged. According to the Center for Watershed Protection, a national organization comprised of scientists and planning experts, says preserving undisturbed vegetative cover during land development is a much more cost-effective approach than destroying these features and having to construct new stormwater management practices to replace the functions they originally provided. So that's a little bit on the sort of the nature aspect of this, but we at Keep the Park Green had to do a lot of digging on our own. And we found out things that are very disturbing. The mayor and his supporters like to say that the park plan should go ahead because there's already been such a robust public process. That's their mantra. Seriously, that is their mantra. Well, when we started to follow the money, we discovered a lot that the public didn't know about this process. We found out this current plan is the pet project of Burlington City Arts right over there to provide them with free performance space right outside their gallery. The BCA was the driving force behind this plan, starting back in 2011 when they applied for and received a National Endowment for the Arts grant for the first stages of their reimagining of the park. This park has been terribly neglected during the time that this plan is being developed. Paths and infrastructure went unrepaired, and no help was provided to the trees whose soil was being compacted. The mayor and the BCA talk about this neglect as if it wasn't the result of inaction by the city, because of course it was. They're the ones that are responsible for it. we filed a Freedom of Information Act and found out that the city conveniently didn't keep any records over the last 7 years for how much was spent on City Hall Park maintenance. What kind of management is that? You don't even keep records about the park that's right outside your office, and then you complain about how it was run down? By letting the park become run down, the city created a problem situation so the BCA could pitch their plan as the only way to fix it. And probably the most concerning fact of all for us is that the city and the BCA have not been forthcoming about the fact that a city administrator, the assistant director of the BCA, is married to landscape architect Keith Wagner, a man who has been intimately involved in the development of the park plan since the beginning. The BCA lists him as one of the key personnel in their 2011 NEA grant application for imaging and reimagining the park. The city then paid him $20 grand out of that award they received to begin to create the plan. Right out of the gate, they gave him a no-bid contract. It took us another Freedom of Information request to find that out. And what do you know? Wagner's firm was later subcontracted to do the final park plan to the tune of over $500,000. We know the mayor and some city councilors were aware of this relationship, but the city admitted this fact when discussing the project in public presentations or on its official website. They just refer to him as H. Keith Wagner, a landscape architect. Why do you think that was? If the city wasn't worried that they could be charged with nepotism, why didn't they make sure to disclose this relationship when presenting their robust public process plan? It would have been the robust and ethical thing to do. Many of the voters we talked to were shocked to learn that a spouse of the city administrator would be benefiting directly from taxpayer money. They also want to know why their elected representatives didn't question this part of this robust public process. Vermont nice doesn't mean turning a blind eye to ethical issues that involve taxpayer money.
That's correct.
So let's talk a little about transparency and fiscal accountability. After 7 years of planning, the city keeps changing its story as to where the $3 million of taxpayer money for the park plan is coming from. As recently as last week, a spokesman for the mayor gave a quote to the Burlington Free Press citing 3 different likely sources for the money. The downtown TIF district that was approved by a ballot question, the stormwater fund that was approved by a ballot question, and the capital improvement fund, also approved by a ballot question. An examination of the language of each of these ballot questions, which were spread over a period of several years, shows that they all have one thing in common. None of them mention City Hall Park. If the city is still waffling on where the money is coming from this late in the game, and none of these ballot questions mention City Hall Park, there is no way they can argue that voters knew that they were approving a $3 million price tag for this project. At a time when the city is borrowing into the future on multiple fronts, has lost $10 million on Burlington Telecom, and needs money for the high school and Memorial Auditorium, canceling this park plan's costly and unnecessary design changes could provide much-needed taxpayer relief. We think voters support a new, less expensive plan that repairs the neglect that's occurred under the mayor's watch. A new plan that retains more trees and grassy areas, increases lighting and shady places to sit, and could easily include a real playground for kids instead of a splash pad that could harbor bacteria from wet diapers and can only be used 3 months out of the year. Taxpayers know that heavy debt requires stopping the flow of good money after bad.
Hear, hear.
Give it to them.
Well, the most concerning part of all of this is the mayor and some city councilors are telling us that they won't put the City Hall Park item on the ballot, even though we've collected the required number of signatures. They say the language isn't neutral enough, and they're angling to change it. The language was vetted by the city attorney back in August of 2018. It is clear and conservative. There are no facts in dispute, and it leaves plenty of leeway for all the repair and maintenance improvement we'd like to see. They could have crafted their own ballot question, but they chose not to. We tried to negotiate with them in the ad hoc committee, but that failed to bring about the changes folks wanted. Therefore, we the people crafted our own language. Article 20 of the Vermont Constitution gives the people the right to assemble together, to consult for their common good, and to instruct their representatives, in this case, the mayor and city council. If they rewrite the ballot language, it is akin to them instructing themselves. That makes no sense. The 2,000 plus registered Burlington voters who signed the petition, whose signatures were validated by the city clerk, expect to see the language they signed on the petition reflected on the March ballot. We also made the rounds to all the neighborhood planning assemblies to make our case and ask for a formal vote on a resolution of endorsement.
Tell us what happened, Donna.
Every single NPA voted to put it on the ballot and let the people vote. So we utilized not only one but two democratic processes, ballot petitions and NPA votes for resolutions. The city touts their robust public process. They say they've engaged over 1,000 people over the past 7 years. We'll Keep the Park Green has engaged over 3,300 people in the past 4 months. We are here to say that democracy is not dead. There is no form of democracy and robust public process greater than voting, and we the people want to vote on this issue. In closing, we urge the mayor and council to proudly honor local democracy in Burlington by respecting this citizen-initiated petition and the NPA resolutions, democratic processes provided for by the Vermont law and our municipal governance. Burlington residents want to weigh in on what we believe is a costly and poorly conceived plan. Instead, we want to create a better plan for our park, which for generations has served as Burlington's most important public space and a cool green oasis in the heart of our beloved city. So you've signed the petition, and now it's important that you take one more step. Email your elected officials this week and tell them to put it on the ballot and let the people vote. Thank you for coming out on this cold winter day, and this is what local democracy looks like.
Okay, now we're headed into the clerk's office to turn in our 1,300 signatures. So we have, Donna said, exceeded by leaps and bounds the requirement.